All right, welcome back to the channel. So it looks like after Josh Taylor had his performance with Jack Catterall for Undisputed, Josh Taylor has looked at the film and felt like that he edged it out, and he says that he's willing to give Jack Catterall a rematch, but it's not going to be for the belts. It's going to be at a catchweight. I'm going to break it down for y'all. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. Please share that you like and subscribe to the channel to get all your latest boxing news. With that being said, Josh Taylor has recently came off a mandatory bout and defeated Jack Catterall in his last fight. And Josh Taylor has been getting a lot of backlash from the fans about his controversy win over Jack Catterall. People felt like that they didn't care. Well, not care. I mean, they feel like Josh Taylor didn't win that fight, and now the fans are backlashing, talking about stuff outside the boxing ring that has nothing to do with boxing. And Josh Taylor is kind of offended by this, and he says, "Look, I went back and I watched the fight multiple times." He says that he felt like he edged out the fight, and he says that he's willing to give Jack Catterall a rematch, but it's not going to be for the belts. It's going to be a non-title fight at a catch weight of 143 and 144. Josh Taylor felt like that he gave Jack Catterall his payday. He gave the bigger paydays his career, and now I want to return the favor by not giving you a shot at Undisputed and stuff like that. We can fight at catch weight 143, 144. And this makes no sense on why would you want to waste a rematch with Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor? If it's not going to be for the titles, what's the point of rematching Jack Catterall for a non-title fight at a catchweight and stuff like that? He's doing this because he doesn't want to rematch Jack Catterall, in my opinion, because Josh Taylor, he's big. He's actually bigger than me, and he can't make the weight no more 140 because he's a big guy, and that's just not discipline. That's just not staying focused and stuff like that to me. But if you outgrowing the weight, I can understand. But Josh Taylor can make 140 pounds, in my opinion. He doesn't want to rematch Jack Catterall because if you were serious about rematching, you would rematch him and put all those belts back on the line. And it makes absolutely no sense for Jack Catterall to get his rematch against Josh Taylor, because what would Jack Catterall gain from winning the titles and stuff like that? He would gain absolutely nothing. And Josh Taylor already talking about moving up to fight the WBO champion within Terrence Crawford. So when Josh Taylor moves up in weight, he will be already at the top of the list, forced as the mandatory to fight Terrence Crawford. Well, to tell you the truth, that Josh Taylor, he's not beating Terrence Crawford. The performance that he had against Jack Catterall, he was struggling with the jab all night long. Jack Catterall was actually getting under Josh Taylor's jab and feints. You know, when Josh Taylor feints, Josh Taylor tried to be aggressive and go for a quick jab into the 1-2, and Jack Catterall was right there, and that's when you call perfect timing. Jack Catterall showed a prime example of when you have good timing, and Jack Catterall was utilizing the jab all night long, and the jab can really determine the fight. And a lot of people felt like that Jack Catterall won that fight. Well, I feel like he won the fight, but he didn't win the fight convincingly. Okay, guys, what is the important things of a boxing match? You have to win championship rounds. So if you want to consider the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th championship rounds, I'm fine with that. But when it comes down to those last 4 rounds in the boxing match, you have to look convincingly. All Jack Catterall needed to do is win 10 and 11. Really, he really needs to win 9, 10, and 11. If he would have won at least 11 and 12, they would have gave him the win. But Jack Catterall had poor strength and conditioning, in my opinion. Whoever was his strength and conditioning coach did a horrible job. Jack Catterall game plan was working from point A to point B, and he just started to fade in the high rounds. This is the same problem with Caleb Plant. If you go back to the Truax fight or the Canelo Alvarez fight, what does Caleb Plant does? He starts to fade towards the 8th, 9th, and 10th. When he gets in the championship rounds, Caleb Plant is out of gas and he's just barely on fumes. And Jack Catterall showed a prime example of that. He was on fumes. And guys, when you're the aggressor of the fight, right, you're going to absolutely win the fight, basically. Josh Taylor, he was not landing effective punches on Jack Catterall. He was really wrapping Jack Catterall up the whole entire fight, trying to figure out and trying to compute. And Josh Taylor, in my opinion, I think Josh Taylor doesn't have an impressive ring IQ, because if you couldn't make adjustments off the fly to get around Jack Catterall's jab, well, how are you going to favor or beat Terrence Crawford? It would really be surprising to me if Josh Taylor beats Terrence Crawford. That would be very shocking, but I do not see that happening. But if Josh Taylor does fight Terrence Crawford, it's a bad stylistically matchup. He's not going to be able to do that to Terrence Crawford. I think Terrence Crawford, once he switched from southpaw to orthodox, I think he's going to present multiple more problems to Josh Taylor. I think Josh Taylor is going to need a lot of work. I think Josh Taylor should stay a little bit more at 140. He's not ready for 147. And I think that Josh Taylor is not going to be successful against Terrence Crawford. I think Terrence Crawford knocks him out within 5 to 6 rounds because of the style matchup. But Josh Taylor said he is willing to give Jack Catterall a rematch, at 143 to 144 pounds for a non-title fight. Josh Taylor felt like that he gave Jack Catterall his highest payday, and he felt like that he should agree to my terms and stuff like that. But I don't think Jack Catterall should accept this rematch, because he gets nothing to gain. He doesn't get the titles. He ain't going to get the same biggest payday and stuff like that. So Josh Taylor stated that Jack Catterall is going to be a winner of the titles again. He's going to get his opportunity, because if he doesn't fight me, I'm just going to vacate all the belts and he have his chance at the belts at that. So with that being said, Josh Taylor is looking to potentially go up to 147. He said he's willing to give Jack Catterall a rematch, but it's not going to be at 140. It's going to be at 143 to 144, because Josh Taylor says that he can't make the weight. With that being said, guys, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.